Thank you guys so much for coming.
Tell us a little about the origins of Subtle Pride and what brought you guys together to do this group.
Yeah. Well,
I'm kind of like just...
Well, please.
Bridget and I lived together in college, and Zach, me and Bridge went to school together.
And Misha and I have known each other since we were like 10 years old because we did an opera together in Berkeley. And I was doing a show with the three of us and a fourth girl who, despite our best efforts, wanted nothing to do with this game we played. And so we looped Minna into it, and we ended up just like...
they would just come over after their rehearsals for the show to our house, and we would just make up songs and like pretend to be a band.
It started with a song called One Tooth Model on the Wall because Minna brought us a picture of a model she saw like pasted up that had been pasted in a way where it was folded in on her face and she only had one tooth, and we were obsessed with it, and that was our first single, was
One Tooth Model on the Wall.
Are these released anywhere? Or
Yes.
They are. The whole album, okay.
And there's a music video. It's our first music video.
Yeah, we have an album called...
Where do we catch that so we can tell our viewers?
Unreleased Demos. It's on Spotify, pretty much anywhere you can stream.
Perfect.
YouTube as well.
Yeah, all right,
It's
great.
it's good.
Yeah,
It's really good.
Gotta check that out.
Please.
You want to keep going? I haven't really heard of improvisational vocal band before, so for those who aren't unfamiliar with it, like myself, can you kind of describe that a little bit for us and kind of what's it all about and how it sets apart from other genres?
Yeah, well, improvisational voice band is, I believe, a term that we coined because what we were doing was had this heart of improvisation. It's still what we do in the show today. Has a heart of improvisation.
Yeah.
We did a couple.
Our show started as us just literally going to venues and improvising an entire set vocally. And then we started to develop the shows more, and they became more of like a whole experience and performance that included moments of improvisational voice music, like we did at the beginning and end of this show, but then scripted a lot of other stuff.
I think the four of us as a collective are really enamored with pop stars and pop music, and we would love to be pop stars. We just don't know how to play any instruments. So I think we did what we could, which was make stuff up, and I think we really enjoyed finding something special and like feeling the performance that was in the room, and that way we didn't have to memorize notes, songs. It's so much easier if you don't know any of the music, but it's also much harder because
it could be bad.
And when you want to,
Yeah, I think pop music also walks the same line as improvisation, which is when it's bad, it's really bad, and when it's good, it's so good. There's like nothing like it, and it feels like straight from the heart. And I feel like what people like about pop and what people like about improv is that it toes that line, and you like to watch people walking on a tightrope a little bit.
I also think it's about like so much of the pop experience is like going to an arena show and seeing like your favorite people up on stage, and then the other side of it is like being in your bedroom with your best friends singing along and making up songs. Like we're doing like that intimate part of it just on stage.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, how much of the show is actually improv when you're on stage, or is everything kind of created before you actually have your performance? Or is there any improv happening in the performances live?
It's a mix.
It's a mix.
Yeah.
Just to say what the percentage is, but
we barely even know what's made up on the spot.
like a good wine.
But definitely everything is made up at some point, whether it happens right in the moment or off stage. we made it up at some point.
But a lot of it is not improv.
And a lot of it is.
And a lot of it is improv.
So like speaking of that whole creation process, I heard on your first song, so what is a little bit of your creation process when you're coming up with like new material?
Like that first song we played tonight, White.
So
I mean, that one is a good example of like what we like to do, which is do an improvised song and then redo it and redo it and redo it and redo it until it's better.
It's a real song.
Until it's a real song, and then we bring in a real instrument and try to figure out how to play one drum and two strings on a bass
One
guitar.
drum and two jigs.
We literally sit in a circle in a room with a
voice memo recording.
And we just improvise songs over and over, and then we get like, we do like 20, and we get like 2 good ones, and then we
Play
make
those
those
into the ground.
songs.
Yeah,
And
and
then
either they're
drill
like
them,
perfect as they are,
or we change them.
or we change them and add instrumentation.
Or they're already perfect, and then we change them anyway.
Yeah, make them worse. Make them worse. Sometimes songs are too good.
Yeah, you're like, I can't hear this one. Let's make it easier for the rest.
That was actually the case with almost every song you heard tonight. All of them were voice memos at some point.
Perfect. So describe one of your shows in 5 words or less. If I was going to describe you for the first time, you have to tell somebody 5 words or less
Okay.
what to expect from the show.
I really liked what you said the other day, pop marathon.
That's 2.
I was gonna say a real band performing live.
That's really good.
That's it. Yeah.
Real band performing
live.
That's perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
You want to throw in any of your...
I have one.
Oh,
I really liked your use of the rotisserie chicken. Can we expect any vegan instruments in the future?
No.
No.
There is
Not from 2 lines.
nothing like meat. We've said it before. We'll say it again. It's just like nothing. Ripping a tofu in half or a broccoli does not have the same
A
feeling.
carrot could have a nice.
A
Carrot would be so difficult
Sometimes
to
there's
rip in
carrots
half.
that look like people though with 2 legs.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
We
kind of special.
okay. I'll
Another
provide.
fun
If
fact-
we find the right
Yeah.
thing, we'll use it.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
We should
We have an open mind.
Seitan.
Bridget and Nana, would you guys consider yourselves a triple threat, young, filthy, and free?
Young, filthy, and free, 100%.
Yeah. Well,
Definitely filthy. I have food poisoning right now, just to let everybody know.
Is that contagious?
No, it's not.
but also we were at one point much younger, much filthier, and much more free.
And that's what we embody. Never mind.
And for the rest of us, we're just like the reverse Benjamin Button, so it's hard for us.
Older and
Old,
worse.
clean.
Older and worse.
Old,
clean and worse.
That's the alternate
Trapped.
title for the show.
We are young, filthy, and free.
Yeah, old, clean, and trapped. It's true.
I had a question for you guys. So you all met at your NYU, right?
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah.
You guys knew each other when you were 10, but you all kind of came together as the band at NYU. Could you describe the process for that, for like coming together as a band in one word?
Playing.
Playing's a good one.
Playing.
It felt serendipitous. I mean,
Truly.
lucky. Yeah.
Lucky.
Because you met you, and then I met you,
You met.
We met.
and then we met.
And then
we
we
met.
met. And then we met.
I saw. I think this
Misha
is
and
not
I-
one word at all. But I saw on my like 3rd day of NYU. I saw Bridget in the dining hall, and I was so shocked to see them. I hadn't seen them in like
Yeah.
10 years maybe. And I was like, oh my god, Bridget! Like I haven't seen you in so long. I'm so happy to see you. Like we have to hang out. And they were like, absolutely, absolutely. I leave for France tomorrow for the entire year. And they were like, I will see you when I get back though. And they really did. They left. They
Well, Bridget had a picture of you just like up on the wall.
By my bed for like all of college. I don't know why, but it's not. I'm not in it. It's just a picture of Misha. But I've always like from the moment I met you when we were young, I knew that we would be
Friends later.
friends for a long time, doing very strange things.
Yeah.
But playing, yeah.
But playing, mostly playing.
But
Yeah.
play.
Serendipitous. Lucky.
But playing.
But playing. But playing.
But playing.
Off the record.
Off the record.
So what is everyone's opinions on turquoise?
Turquoise.
Love it.
The stone.
The color of the stone.
Both, really.
I like
love it.
all
I love
blue.
it.
You mean like this?
Love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Haka is blue.
What about you?
I love it.
Yeah, it's so nice. It's
Phew.
it's like,
It was close. It was close. We almost really had a problem right there.
What else we got? If
I was gonna maybe Bloods or Crips.
but
Oh, that's inappropriate. We don't want to make an on-camera alliance because later on in our career we might want to switch.
it's a dividing
It's
question.
hard because it's blood in, blood out. I mean,
Next question.
All right. If you could only pick one thing, what would it be?
One thing.
Yeah. Yes.
Butter.
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 It is a butter year.
It's a butter year, baby.
Could be the next instrument, really.
Butter. I am
Not vegan.
lactose intolerant though,
Oh.
and it's not vegan.
So no butter.
If you're gonna do butter, you might as well do meat.
Wow.
So we are doing a little bit of like a queer artist blog. Do you guys feel comfortable asking some kind of like questions about queer identity and being in the band and maybe your your life outside of the band? Do you guys feel like comfortable enough to answer a few of those questions tonight? Or?
I feel comfortable.
Try our best.
Let's try our best.
Yeah.
Sure. So I guess like just the question of as queer entertainers in an industry, especially the music industry, TV. I'm not so sure so much about the magazine industry, but obviously industries that have like historically been very anti-queer, very exclusives. How do you guys feel about doing something that's so out there? I mean, the show is funny, but it's also there's these points of real like heartfelt emotion that comes through, and it's kind of like you guys are riding that line of like, okay, we don't want it to be too sad, we don't want it to be too funny, right? Do you feel that, or would that be a
For sure.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how do you find that line of this is I want this to be understood, I want this to be taken seriously, but I also want people to have a good time. I want this to be an entertaining show.
Yeah, we take everything seriously. So whether it's going to be funny or not, when we write it from the heart.
It takes a lot of earnest work.
Yeah.
To like make the stuff that seems silly just actualize.
Yeah.
And like my first thought is coming to the magazine about we talk about how it's a magazine for people who only aspire to be themselves, and it's like our aspiration here is to like do a show that is us, and like we're drawing from these histories of these pop stars, of these DJs, of these European blonde women, to tell this story, and it's like we can be only who we are.
Yeah, especially those like I feel like Silver and Smoke and like Two Lines are probably like the deepest, most vulnerable parts of ourselves. That like you say the thing that is like so embarrassing to say, that is so catchy, but it's like it all comes from the truth, and usually the truth is pretty like dumb and funny.
I also think there's an interesting parallel between being queer and doing the show that we do, because it comes from such an earnest place, and as does being queer in this business, because you have to constantly reassert a sense of honesty in place, that this show can feel almost embarrassing to do because it's so vulnerable. And we do it because we know that it's important, and because we know that it's the only thing we can do. And I think that's the same concept of being queer in Hollywood. You do it not because you're trying to say something, but because it's the only way you can be. And it's embarrassing, and you're constantly thinking about what people are going to be thinking of you, but at the end of the day, you go to bed knowing that you've said all you can say.
People have expectations of what they think it's going to be, and like especially like what we put out media-wise versus what you see in the room. I think breaking those expectations is always really fun, and it makes the experience so individual and so special.
I think it also has to do with the mainstream, and that I think we're attracted to the things that are bizarre and that are strange, but not niche at all. I mean, the things we're attracted to exist in the culture, in the pop culture, in the mind. And so I think when we key into the bizarreness of those things, the balance strikes naturally, because that absurdity that's in our show already exists in the world. We're not making it up, and we're not like drawing from bizarre abstract artists. We're looking at pop stars, and we're looking at movies, and we're looking at things that are just
famous,
already here. And I think that is important to the tone of the show.
We're at 8:45. We have to clear out.
You do have to clear out. There's another show coming in.
Hey, thank you guys so much for talking to us.
I have one last question for you guys.
Sure.
So what's next for Subtle Pride? You guys have more shows lined? I know you have an LA
We've got a show coming up in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Right back here.
Right
Yeah,
Be here
same-
for that
same
one.
here.
And any like new music on the horizon?
Always.
Always
Yeah.
new music. And we have a project coming up that we're in talks for. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got some things on the horizon.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It was
Thanks,
great.
guys.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
What is the point